A lot of people don't understand what it is like to do a radio show. They think it's maybe glamorous, it's maybe exciting, it's interesting, informative, it's unique. It is really more of an internal process than most people realize. And part of you could either say the rewarding side or the unrewarding side of doing a radio show is many times you don't get feedback or response. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're accomplishing. You're giving your heart and your soul to this. You're becoming very vulnerable on the radio to people when you talk. And they may not hear your heart, or you hope they hear your heart and your mind and your soul. And one of the few things that happens that is so incredibly rewarding is what happened with Mike Taz and the relationship and getting to know this individual who became almost a transition, a human being in motion and changing. And I think that is one of the most gratifying aspects that I've ever had on the radio, is knowing that someone out there was actually listening, took it to heart, and did what we said or did what we recommended. And we get to meet the most wonderful people via the radio. Robert Redfern was one of those people. And in meeting Robert Redfern, who was willing to come over from the UK, all we had to do was just say, gee, we'd love to have you in the studio. And he was here. He was on a transcontinental flight and in our studio in no time. And we began to have a relationship with this wonderful man who walked the walk. And that was what it's all about. And through him, in the inspiration of learning about one item, one product, Serrapeptase, and seeing the amazing change in one human being's life makes it all worthwhile. I mean, you may only, if you are lucky on the radio, touch one person's life. If that, and I mean really touch that life. I have to ask myself sometimes how many lives Rush Limbaugh touches to the point of changing those lives. Probably not very many. Or Bill O'Reilly or anybody on the U.S. side of the radio. How many people ever, though, get to know that someone has taken to heart, done what you said, tried it, and become an individual that is just, I don't know, such a success as opposed to what their life was like before. And I am so grateful for Mike Taz, and I hope there will be a lot of Mike Tazes out there, to tell you the truth, because I'd like to think that the Power Hour has changed people's lives. It's not me. It's that I happen to believe in a God who has empowered us with wisdom if we ask for it, and knowledge, and the way to become a more helpful person. And the road that Mike has traveled, I will never know. I will never be able to understand from whence he came, nor where he is now, nor the journey in between. But I do believe that there are people just like him that are out there waiting to be opened, waiting to be inspired, waiting to be challenged. And now Mike Taz, hopefully through his life, and I know he's already touched one life, that of Jennifer, because she told me. She said she has cerebral palsy, and she listened to what Mike had to say, and she started doing the things that Mike was doing. I mean, that is beyond radio. That's a miraculous intervention of God himself, in my estimation. And he puts people together who need each other. I need Mike Taz. Mike Taz needed me. Mike Taz needed Jennifer. Jennifer needs Mike Taz. And it'll go on to all the other people that their lives will touch also. There's no limit to the amount of inspiration that one person can be. And I know that every time I've asked him to come on the radio, regardless of how much notice I give him, I don't care if it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, he's always there. And he's always willing to share his story. And though I may be busy or not have the time that I would like to spend in talking with him, Mike is so patient. He's so giving. He's so understanding. He's so humble. He's so willing to share what he has learned. And if people in this world had 1/10 of the generosity and the individual capability to care that he has, what a powerful world this would be. So Dave and I continue on the radio every day in the hopes that there'll be another Mike Toss. But I have to tell you, there never will be another Mike Toss. There never will. There will be people that will say, yes, I want this, I want to try it, feed me, do it to me, show me how to do it, and then they won't stick with it because it's not easy. Change one day at a time is extremely difficult. When one has established a lifestyle, a pattern, an ability to function that is convenient, works for them, it's extremely difficult. You know, I always say to people, clasp your hands together as if you were sort of in prayer, but bend your fingers down, just like you're sitting with your hands on your lap. Which thumb is on top? Is it your left or your right? Now, I want you to clasp your hands, fold your hands again, and intertwine them, interlock your fingers, and put the opposing thumb on top. For instance, I had my left thumb on top when I originally did it, and now I'm putting my right thumb on top. It changes your fingers, and it changes how they feel. It changes everything. It feels strange. It feels weird. It feels uncomfortable. Well, imagine you have done things in a certain fashion all your life, and now you're doing it differently. My hat is off to anyone who makes a change. I don't care whether it's losing 5 pounds or starting to take a different approach to diet or juicing or whatever it is. It's just amazing how incredible it is to make a change. Well, you know, Mike Toz is always there, and Mike has always been a friend to anyone who wanted to know his story. He's not shy, he's not proud, he's humble, and the best part is his journey is not over. And I can only pray that there will be many people on his path in the future that will stop, take the time to listen to him, and will see that what he has done, they can do also. And his journey is not over. It's getting better all the time. And I just commend him, and I commend all of our listeners, everyone that makes one change at a time. You know, we can't motivate anyone to do anything in this lifetime. I've been on the radio for 10 years. I can assure you, I cannot motivate anyone to do anything. But we can inspire. That's by walking the walk. That's the way Robert Redfern did for me. That's the way Mike Toz is doing for other people. And I just would ask that every person look at your life from the standpoint of what you have right now, what you would like to have, where you are, where you want to go. And make the decision to do that. And don't let anyone get in your way, because you're more important than they're getting in your way. I mean, I sometimes think, what if he would have used the excuse, I can't afford the Serrapeptase? What if he had used the excuse, it's too hard to take pills, or I don't have time, or whatever excuse? Think about what he would have missed out on. You know, it's kind of like when you're doing you're shooting for the moon. And if you're only 5 degrees off, by the time you get to the moon, you're 150 degrees off. Because that one little bit of difference changes everything. Changes the entire course of the voyage. So I thank God for Mike's relationship to our lives. I've never met him. I'd love to hug his neck. And I thank God for people like Robert Redfern who have gone out on a limb to create items to make people better, even though there's a risk to doing it. And I have to say that I love the people that love the truth. We may not know it. We may think we know the truth and we don't know it. At least though we're searching, and we don't want the lies. We don't want the fraud. And we don't want to be anything more than what we are, which is a human being who is becoming. So I'm just honored to know the Mikes and the Roberts of the world, and know there's many more out there, and Jennifer. And know there are many more that we can inspire, and we have to find where our movement is going to be, and what our own personal private mission is. You know, we were all chosen to live at this time. And sometimes we wonder why. It's a tough time. But then would I rather be in the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages or coming across the prairies of Kansas? When would I like to have lived? I think right now. I don't think there's any more exciting time to be alive than right now. And we have a hope and a future that is brighter than anything we can imagine if we believe in a power that God has that is so great. So to all the Mikes and the Roberts and the Jennifers out there, let's multiply as much as we can. Let's continue. Let's move on. Let's do. Let's talk. Let's achieve. And let's not quit inspiring, because inspiration is one of the greatest things in the world that anyone can do for another human being. And I thank you all, and I honor you all. And I thank God for you.